Hey folks, AJ the CEO here, and you've probably seen a bunch of videos where I talk about how to do on-sites and designs and stuff like that. But in this video, I want to walk you through actually designing a vanilla multi-camera system for your ministry, which will include multiple angles that mainly are based off of what I've seen in the over 250 installs that we've done for multiple ministries, different denominations and everything. And I want to walk you through the essentials that hopefully this will be a guide if you decide to do a DIY version of this for your ministry, which I highly encourage you to do. Or you can always contact me at ajhomes.com/consultations and we can set up something for you. But this is meant to be a guide to walk you through everything that you need to do if you want to set up a multi-camera system, as well as why. All right, so let's go ahead and cut over to diagrams.net and we're going to go ahead and design this thing. Now, one of the reasons why I always recommend multi-camera systems for a church is because instead of just thinking about just your service, the ministry, wherever you're doing, most of the time handles multiple functions beyond just a typical service. So that is why I cover multiple cameras as well, from a production standpoint, from a backup standpoint, and just to where you can get multiple uses out of this. God forbid there's a funeral, or more importantly, a wedding. The ministry and the capabilities can offer to be able to record the wedding or the funeral or any type of event like at Signs and Wonders. We've held town halls for the government and things like that. It opens up for opportunities, not just for the ministry, but for the community at large. So let's go ahead and just start. And I haven't used this one in a while. Let's just go with prototype church, which is always my go-to when I do stuff like this. So the first thing is I'm just going to do a basic church. I like to put the camera in the back as best as possible so it can get the widest range of any type of, events, activities that are going on the pulpit, stage, whatever you decide to call it. I'm going to call it a pulpit. So let's go ahead and start with a camera in the back. Now, the other thing, this can be any type of camera you want. I'm going to lean towards PTZs just because they make stuff a lot easier. You don't take up space. You don't have manpower needed to man a manual camera, but that is your discretion. So I'll just call this is the back PTZ. Now, typically when I've done PTZ cameras, depending on the distance from the back, I'm talking about the back wall of the church. Typically, that back wall is also the main entrance into the sanctuary. So this is where I would place that, or relatively as far back as possible. But if the distance between this and the pulpit is under 70 feet, a 20X is going to be good for that. Anything more than that, go for a 30. Typically, if you were less than that, you might think, oh, we can get away with a 10X. But to be quite honest, the price difference between a 10X and a 20X is like $10 to $20, maybe $50. And you're not saving much. Just go ahead and go for the 20. All right. Now, the other essential thing is always do, and out of every install, I've always came back and installed a front camera. Again, the reason for it is to give you the same type of control. It's the same zoom as the one in the back because it's the same distance. And this is meant to capture your congregation. If it's a wedding, get somebody coming down the aisle. It's a funeral, get somebody coming down the aisle. An anniversary where you want to see and get a view of not just the back of the head of somebody, but the actual face of them. All right. Now, sometimes we might also want to include a side camera. And this is going to give you some alternating shots, or at the same way, we have one on the opposite side too, and this would be a right PTZ. Now, depending on how old your church is, you might also, and when I say that, some churches have a baptismal pool here in the sanctuary that's in the back. Say this is the choir loft or something, and there's typically a baptismal pool back here with who used to be a humongous mirror so it will reflect and so everybody can see. So one thing that I have done as well too, and we just put a baptism PTZ. It could be a PTZ that you can move, or it can be a stationary camera and it's focused just on the baptismal pool. So you'll get a much better shot and be able to project that onto the displays that are going to be for everyone else. So that's your main system. Now, with these, you have multiple connection options. I'm going to lean towards two. Because of somebody here on one of the subscribers here, they turned me on to the fiber optic HDMI cables. I've done those in about 50 installs. I use them here in my studio as well, and they are great options, and they're the least costly of going with SDI. SDI works well. It's very redundant, very stable, very strong. Don't have to worry about it running this cable outside, inside. It can go up to 300 feet if need be. Fiber optic HDMI, personally, I have not done more than 200 feet. It has worked well. But personally, if you want to go over 200, I would go to SDI. This is RG6 cable. You can buy it in bulk and make the connections, which I've shown how to do in multiple videos. I am not at the point of being able to make HDMI cables. Don't want to make HDMI cables, but that's your option. So right there, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 cameras in this setup. Again, the essentials I would say is at least front and back. And, you know, one other thing that I have not done in a while is, and I might as well use this other one, is, and I've done this at a couple of churches, but like I said, I have not done this in a while. I will use another camera right here, maybe right under this PTZ or above it, and call it a static shot. So this shot will give me a wide shot and be able to hide when the back camera is moving. You could simulate this with something else, but that's just an option there. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cameras. Now, again, I'm going to try to not mention a brand, but if y'all have been watching any of my stuff for a long time, I like the ATEM, the Blackmagic design ATEM switches, because they have a lot of functionality here. So that's what I'm going to use in this scenario. I'm going to use the ATEM Mini Extreme. This could be, if you went with SDI, you can go with the ATEM SDI Extreme, whichever one, or you can have the big boy ones, the big Constellation class switchers. That will introduce more stuff, but I'm going to stick with the ATEM Mini Extreme for right now. So in this setup, and maybe I'll put this in the center here so I make this a lot easier. We're going to connect these, and I'm going to use fiber optic HDMI for these right now. For this distance, all of these are going to come back and connect to the ATEM. All right, that includes the static camera, our front, and our baptismal camera. All right, so we got all of these. So if we look at it again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inputs. We still have 2 more. So let's go ahead and introduce a computer. This is going to be running our presentation software. It can be anyone: Media Shout, Easy Worship, Pro Presenter, Presenter, Open LP. It does not matter. Whichever one works best for your team. But this will allow you to bring in scripture, lyrics, any form of presentation that will go and be disseminated inside the sanctuary, throughout the sanctuary, or online. All right, let's introduce those here. And that's going to be input number 7. Now you have another option. You could have another jack in the front, and I'm just going to use a laptop for right now. And you could have another jack there. Say that your pastor wants to make his own slides, his or her own slides, and they want to have full control over that. You can put a jack there at the pulpit or in the front. Say you're having meetings or something like that, and you want to be able to plug in and don't want to have everybody in the back. You can just have a jack there, and that will, so any other device that has HDMI can plug in. You can get adapters for iPads and all this other stuff like that. And there's your input. So now we're using all 8 inputs of the ATEM Mini Extreme. All right. Now, the other thing we would do in this setup, this is going to give us all the view that anybody would ever need. And you have a way to do presentations as well as a guest. I'll just say guest input connection. So you can set all this up. Again, sometimes at church, you'll have a church meeting. People want to present financials. Instead of sending that back to the media, you can just give the treasurer the laptop a connection. They plug right in, and boom, you pick input number 8, and now it just shows up there on the screen for everybody. Now, the other thing that I would do in this setup is add a hard drive to this Extreme, which will allow you to actually record everything, services, everything externally, and you don't need another computer for this. There are other tools that you can use, but again, this is just my entry level of designing a multi-camera system for your ministry. I like the SanDisk 1 terabyte. That's what I'm using right now to record this. So you'll have more than enough space. Typically with this setup, you can record for 400 some hours before you fill up that space. So works very well. Now, in this setup, we also want to have your mixer. Whatever your sound system is, it doesn't really matter which one it is. I'm going to try and get this as close as possible. Sound mixer. Analog, digital, it does not matter. It will, all mixers have these type of connections. You're either going to have a RCA connection, a XLR connection, or a 1/4 inch connection. So what we're going to do is send the computer audio from my presentation system. So if it wants to do sound, we want everyone inside the sanctuary to be able to hear it. And that includes all your mics and everything that's going here, instruments as well. And then you have one out that's going to go to your main sound, and your mixer should have some type of secondary mix. We're going to make a separate mix just for our live stream. So now the computer audio is going to go into the house through the sound system, but it's also going to go into the ATEM. I'm a simple person. I like everything sorted in a certain way. All sound is handled by your sound mixer. All video is handled by your video switcher. You want to present anything, that's handled through your presentation PC or Mac. Doesn't matter. But that's how I segment. So if you have an issue with your presentation, it's only right here. If you have an issue with your sound, it's only right here. If you have one for your video, it's right there. All right. Now, in this setup, we also want to power all of these cameras and make it as simple so you don't have to run electrical lines here. So we're going to introduce a PoE switch here. And for those who don't know, PoE stands for Power over Ethernet. So it's going to send a low voltage connection for power to all of these cameras. So each camera will only need a video cable and an Ethernet cable, and that's all you need. You don't need to get an electrician to run that. You don't need to be certified for this because it's low voltage. You're not going to shock yourself with it, and it's very simple to use. So in this setup, we're going to run a connection to each camera. I'm going to try and make this very easy. And if you ever want this, I will make this available on my website. A link is going to be down below so you can see it, as well as a list of all the parts that I would include with this as well too. Let's connect this one. Let's try and keep this as organized as possible. So it can easily be seen. We got those two cameras. We got this one. We are going to connect our PC here. Not that that needs power, but all of these need to be connected anyway so it can have internet connection. Connect this camera. Now, typically the static cameras I use are not powered over Ethernet. They need an electrical connection. I personally have not used a static camera that uses power over Ethernet, but I do know maybe ATEM has one. I just have not personally worked with one, but I know the tech has gotten better. I'm sure there's one out there. So I will link one in that list of items as well, just so this will simplify all of this as well too. And then we have one more connection that is to this camera right here. And we need Hopefully your mixer will have a network connection if it's a digital mixer. If it doesn't, it doesn't matter. But we're also going to connect our ATEM here. And everything, let's move this one up just a little bit so you can still see it. So now everything is connected. Now, one more thing we need a way to control the camera. So we're going to get a joystick for here. And this joystick, the same way, can be controlled and powered through this PoE switch. So now all you have to do is turn the power off to this, and that turns off all the cameras for you. And now you don't have to worry about walking around with a remote control to turn this on and off. So now we have multiple angles. Every angle imaginable there in your sanctuary is covered. Your sound is covered because we're sending a direct connection, a separate mix for your live stream to your video switcher, and there you go. Now let's add a monitor here because we need to be able to see how to do everything in with our ATEM, and this is what we call our multi-view. Depending on the space, I like using like a 32-inch TV that can be mounted on the wall, or you can just use a regular monitor. I use a folding monitor myself for my ATEM. All right, so this is going to be your multi-view, so you can see all of these inputs and handle this. In this same setup, I'll link a video where you can show in this setup how you can do text over live video. You can do the super source, so you can have it look like MSNBC and have the graphics and the people, or like in ESPN. We have tons of videos to show this. This setup will allow you to do that. Now, you have one more. Actually, let me take this back. We actually have one more output here. We have another USB out from our ATEM that I'm going to send back to this computer, or if you had another computer, it can plug there. This will allow control over USB, and you want, say if you want to still run Zoom or something like this, this USB in will make your entire ATEM look like a webcam, but it has access to everything that we disconnected to it. So that's why we have that connection there as well. All right. Now, say you want to also have some type of video distribution inside your church. We're going to say we have a, and let me actually move it over here so we can have some space here. Say we got our TVs in the sanctuary, and then we're also going to have televisions in multiple areas throughout the church. Let's just do 5 to make it easier for right now. The beauty of this is we would introduce a HDMI splitter, and you can get multiple ones. I typically use a 1x8, which means 1 input, 8 outputs. So this other output from the ATEM, which is HDMI, we will connect it to here. And now this distribution will go to all the TVs throughout the church. And you could always get multiple ones of these and bridge them off of each other. You know, any of these will work. There are other options that you can send this and broadcast it over an internal coax network, so that you're using the regular coax cables that are probably already inside the church to handle the distribution. And then, you know, you're good to go. You can just get some regular coax cables and you can run as many TVs as you want, you know, and you just get regular old cable that you can get from Target, Best Buy, well, not Target, Best Buy, Amazon, Lowe's, Home Depot, anything like that. And you could run that. But right here, this is all HDMI. So personally, I like to put this splitter as close to these TVs as possible, run one long HDMI cable to this, and then split it to everywhere else whenever you're comfortable. All right. So in this scenario, this is what I would suggest in any of these. And I didn't put the internet here, but you know, this is the internet, and you have a modem and all this other stuff. I might as well do all of it. So say we got our modem here, just bringing in internet here, that line, that's going to be your router or something like that as well too. And then that's how we going over here to the internet. And then that's how it's going to live stream. All right. And this is like the basics of what I would do for a multi-camera setup. This will cover every aspect of everything that you would need to capture front, back, left, right, Baptismal. You're getting sound from your current sound system with a separate mix that is specifically done just for the live stream. So it sounds completely different. It can be adjusted separately. We've done video distribution through TVs inside the sanctuary or in other parts of the building. And we've got control over the joystick that can control up to 250 cameras, even though we're using 5 right now. If you decided to add more, you would need something bigger than the ATEM Mini Extreme. You would need something like the ATEM Constellation that can have 20 or even 40 inputs. You know, and you can get a whole bunch of cameras if you want to. And the ATEM is actually handling the install. If you go anything bigger than that, you would need to have like a web presenter that's made by Blackmagic that can do the live streaming, or you have to introduce another computer for live streaming running vMix, OBS, something like that. But I meant for this to be real simple. I hope y'all followed along. Again, a link is going to be down below to this diagram that you can follow along with and some suggested items so that you can do this yourself. Again, it is very, very, very simple to put this stuff in place. That's why I do a bunch of these on-sites and designs and everything to show you, hey, I do most of this stuff by myself. And if this guy right here getting ready to turn 45 can do it, you can do it as well too. But if you need some help, you know, you can contact me at ajhomes.com/consultations. You reach out, me or Dee will follow back up with you and we can do an on-site and design something specifically for your ministry. Or we can do the install or be a consultant and just help guide you through the whole process as well too. We are here to help ministries reach the whole world. So if you like this type of content, appreciate a like, consider subscribing, hit that bell. That way you get notified when we come out with other videos to help modernize your media ministry. Thanks for watching, folks. This is AJ. Catch you on the next video. Later.